The world population has reached a staggering number of 7.2 billion people. Now, the United States alone has 368 million citizens and produces over 268 million tons of waste per year. Individually, that winds up looking like 1,600 pounds per person per year. And to put a face in the name, a standard sedan weighs in at about 1,600 pounds. So imagine you and everyone you know burying a bag of trash the size of a standard sedan in your backyard each year. Now, obviously, it's not a pretty picture. But the important thing to know is through individual collective change, we have the power to change our future and promote a more sustainable, greener future. Now, to get a better understanding of this issue, I'm going to first lay out some statistics that give you a more numbers-based understanding of this issue. So like I said, it's 268 million tons of waste per year produced by the United States. And to narrow it down even further to individual perspectives, that winds up being 4.4 pounds of waste per day per individual in the United States. Now, 21% of that ends up being plastics, while 19% of that ends up being food waste. And that's what I'm going to focus on today. And I think it's important to even narrow that down even just one more notch. Those percentages, 21 and 19, wind up looking about 1 pound of plastic and 1 pound of food waste per individual in the United States each day. And while individuals are not the biggest contributor, it's important to realize that individuals have the most power to influence change in our country. And I use those statistics to lay out that picture like I mentioned, but without the impacts of those stats, one might think, it's just a trash bag. It's just one trash bag a day per person going into the ground. It's not that bad. Not exactly. All of those bags collectively pose a great danger to our environment and our ecosystem. And those dangers come in the form of destroying our wildlife populations, deteriorating the planet's plant and tree populations, and worst of all, depletion of our ozone layer. A scary fact is that it's even been stated by the Environmental Chemical Group that if our waste production today, right now, came to a halt, we had zero waste production, there will still be irreversible damage already done, and we're going to see the effects for the future, for our foreseeable future. And this is because all of the waste that we've accumulated so far, I mentioned burying in the ground. It's because I mean that it's stored in one of over 2,000 active landfills in the United States. And these solid waste landfills are the third largest source of human-related methane emissions in the world. And methane is one of the several gases that contributes to global climate change. And more specifically, what that methane actually does that's emitted by our waste, it reduces the amount of hydroxyl present in the atmosphere. Now, hydroxyl is used by the atmosphere to cleanse itself of pollutants and any toxins that are in the environment, which helps it work effectively. But all this methane makes it lessens the ability of the atmosphere to protect the Earth from harmful UV rays, thus protecting us. Now, that's a disturbing fact, obviously, but another impact is on our marine life and our oceans and how these plastics and waste affect them. According to National Geographic, plastics have been found to affect nearly 700 organisms in our oceans. Now, what these plastics affect is they cause liver damage, cell damage, but most importantly, they cause reproductive damage, which in turn leads to population decreases and inevitably extinction for our marine animals. So it's imperative that we change our habits for our sake, if not for our sake, for the sake of the organisms that we share this planet with. So now that I've laid out those statistics and a couple of the impacts, I want to now explain how to reduce each of our numbers when it comes to waste production, because there is an answer. This answer lies in the form of changing our consumer habits, most importantly, as individuals. And, I would say that I know even personally, this isn't always the simplest task, because if you look at it, corporations have made consumption as simple and more accessible than it's ever been. It's anything you want is one click away, literally. It's going to come in a box to your house. So that it's so easy, but to curb this effect, you have to look at your own habits and spending and consider a few changes. First and foremost, like I mentioned, is those shopping habits, because think about this. Picture the last package you ordered online. It came with a plastic sleeve for the shipping label, a plastic sleeve for whatever item you ordered, plastic tape that wrapped around the box, you have your cardboard, Now this was leading to that 1.1 pounds of plastic each day that individuals produce. Um, so it's really important to you know, go to where you could purchase that in person. Make that POS, point of sale purchase, and you bring your reusable bag. And now you only have to worry about the plastic of maybe the tag on whatever you had purchased, and maybe a size sticker if it's clothing or what have you, you know. And you have that reusable bag, and now you cut out that 1 pound of waste right there almost, you know. So it's really important to think about where you buy and how you buy. Um, Another habit to consider, which is another important one, is your food consumption. Now, there's many different diets and many different cultures that affect this, so it's best to leave what you eat to individuals, but how you eat is an important thing to monitor. And the best way to monitor this is basically calculate your intake and what you actually eat, and realize how much food you actually eat in a given day or a given week, and purchase based on that number, so that you eliminate waste, and you also eliminate unnecessary trips, unnecessary plastic waste, and things like that. Um, Now, throughout hearing about these statistics and impacts and some solutions to the waste issue currently plaguing our planet, uh, we now know that as individuals, we have the power to influence change and the choices that you make to produce less waste and promote a greener, sustainable future.